official. Okay. Can you see that? Yes, you can. All right. So today we're going to talk about the slope-intercept formula. It is probably the most famous formula in algebra. Maybe, neck and neck would be the quadratic formula, which is a very long, very bizarre sounding, scary sounding formula. But it is really, what is it? X equals, you can do it.
X equals negative b plus the square root of
B squared
squared
minus 4ac all over 2a. So it's kind of a nightmare kind of a thing at first until you learn it and understand it. But once you actually are going to learn it and understand it, hopefully this year, which is really exciting. But this is just as famous and perhaps even more famous in many ways. It's one that you will use a lot. Okay, y equals mx plus b. Yes?
How would you use this in real life?
All right, well, let me first, that's a great question, and you will understand that at some point, maybe not today, because today's my main agenda is to help you understand what it is, how it works, what the different parts of the equation are, and then how to graph with it. And it's really, really cool, right? It's really cool. By the end of today, I think, at least tomorrow for sure, you will be able to graph equations in less than 5 seconds. Instead of using T-charts, which might take you about a minute, right? It's going to be, you guys all know T-charts, right? T-charts will take you about 45 seconds to a minute. This method is going to be literally 5 to 10 seconds, right? So if I give you a homework assignment with 6 problems, 6 times 5 seconds, it's only going to take you about 30 seconds, right? So that's pretty cool, right? It's pretty awesome. So let's look at this for a second. So first of all, what do you suppose the M stands for? Does anybody know? What? What did you say though? It stands for a number, and you always will think of this number in terms of a fraction. So this number is, that is your slope. How many people ski? So you guys that ski know what a slope is. How many people that don't ski know what a slope is? All right, so you guys know what a slope is. Michael, if you take off your brake, right, and you're on a very tall, steep hill, look out, right? Right? Not good, right? Exactly, right? It's like slopes are big. So how do we tell what a slope is? How do we define a slope? Okay, but let's say I'm walking up a hill and I want to know what is that slope? Is it, how do I measure a slope? So Mary.
Would it be like the height times the length or something?
The height?
I actually don't know.
The height, not times the length, but the height. The height actually divided by the length.
Oh.
It's actually, slope is actually called rise over run. This is actually what slope is. Slope is the rise over the run. Okay? So that's always weight, and it makes sense. Like, you've got a mountain sloping up like this, right? So to figure out your slope, you go how many up and how many to the right. How many up, how many to the right. You see what I'm saying? And it creates a sloped line, right? So if I had, I'm going to draw a graph. Make sure I can see this. Let me use the black though. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do have to get a board that has a graph on it sometime. But anyways, so here we go. Let's say I have a point right here. And let's say I have a point right here, and I have a straight line that goes through those 2 points. Okay, you with me? And I ask you, what is the slope of this line? So I'm actually going to create a rise and a run. Watch this. I always start on the point to the left, so that's important. To find the slope, to find slope of line, slope of line, start with a point on the left, and start with a point on the left, and figure rise over run to get to next point.
What does that mean?
You'll know in a second. Okay, so notice I have 2 points here. I've got a point here, and I have a point here, right? I always start with the one on the left, okay? This point is the one I'm going to start with, and I'm actually going to put my marker or my pencil right on that dot. And I am going to say, well, let's see, the map says I can only go either vertically or horizontally. I can't go diagonally to get to the next point. So I'm always going to go vertically first. Does that make sense for rise? Rise would be going up, right? Rise would be going up. So I'm going to go up. How many times, how much am I going to go up? 1, 2, 3. You guys agree with me?
Yeah.
So that is a rise of 3. My rise is 3. And then from here, I've got to go to the right to the next point. Over here, boom, I went how many? 2, right? So that is a run of 2. So my slope, my M is the variable that designates slope. And don't ask me why, except I'm going to just say M stands for mountain, right? Mountain slope, right? That's the easiest way to think of it. So my rise is 3, and my run is 2, so the slope is 3/2. You with me? Pretty easy, right? Now, how many people already knew this? Okay. You learned it with Matt? Sorry, what? But not that well? Okay.
Okay, why is, you know how it's like run is 2? So, okay, so since the rise, and since you got 3 points from the rise to the next point, and that's rise is 3.
Yeah.
Point is 2. Why is the, you see where it is rise 2? Why is that the next point? Could there be a different next point?
Yeah, that's a good question. You're going when you figure out a point that you're going to use. You know how a graph has all these lines like this, right? You're always looking for a point. You're wanting a line to go through like exactly on a corner where they cross. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right.
You
So
don't
that
want the
one-
point to be in the middle or even on the edge in the middle or anything. It's got to be right on those cross. And so let's say I had this one right here, right? Oh, that's the same slope. Never mind. Let's try a different one. Let's try this one. Okay? So from here, what is my slope? If of this line, what would it be? I'm starting at this one. I rise 2. So my rise is 2. And then I run 1, 2, 3. My run is 3. So in this case, this is 2/3. So my slope is 2/3. Did I
What
not
I was
answer?
wondering is the second point,
Yes.
besides the run, I guess, could it be anywhere on that line?
No, because if I had a point here, it would be really hard to solve it.
Oh no, but I mean, like, could it be like on any of the actual places? I mean, like, would it matter?
It wouldn't matter, but okay.
If it wasn't like
I think
halfway
it'll.
there,
I think
but,
you. I think.
You know, if like instead of putting it on the 1, 2, 3,
I could have put it
4,
up here.
22nd one.
I
Yeah.
could have put it up here.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I would, yeah, it could have been somewhere else.
But then
Like, let's do
but
that.
the first point has to be on the intersecting one.
Doesn't, it has to, yeah, where, it doesn't have to be, just wherever the point is, you know. But let's try it. If the slope is a consistent straight line, which is pretty much what we're gonna be dealing with for a while, then we're always gonna rise 3 and run 2 for this straight line. Does that make sense? So even once I got to my destination of this point, I could find my next point by doing what? Rise 3 and run 2. So I could rise 1, 2, 3, and run 1, 2. There we go. There's my next point. All right. Now, if I wanted to know what the slope was from here to here, right? With me? So this is what's sort of answering Mira's question. Watch this. What is my slope? What's my rise? I've got to go from this point to this point. I've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my rise is 6. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 6 over 4. Whoops. 6 over 4, right?
So 5.
But what is 6 over 4? M is 6 over 4. 2 goes into both of those, which is 3/2, which is the same thing. Does that make sense? So the goal is, if you choose to do that, you always see if you can simplify the fraction that the slope is, right? Because you don't want to say 6/4 x. You want to say 3/2 x. You want it always, the slope you want in simplest terms. Slope, think of slope as a fraction. Okay? It's always rise over 1. Rise over run. Okay, everybody's together with me, right? Does it make sense? Fist to 5. You know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, good. Awesome. Great. So we have now figured out what M stands for in an equation, right? Now, what does the B stand for? Does anybody know? Mira, do you know? It is the y-intercept. This is the key, guys. You won't believe this. Y-intercept. Y-intercept. Okay? What is an intercept? Yes, Michael.
Where something crosses.
It's where something crosses, right? If this is the line, and I ask, what is the y-intercept? What would you say it was? Right here, right?
Yeah.
Where the y is 1. At y being 1, the line is intercepting the y-axis. Does everybody understand that? So that is really cool. So if I were going to graph an equation, I'm going to use if I was going to do this, y is equal to, I'll do negative 1/2 x, not negative, sorry. I didn't mean negative there, sorry. Y is equal to 1/2 x minus 5. Okay? I know that this -5 is what? My y-intercept. I know my line is going to cross this y-axis at -5. I know that because I know my slope-intercept formula, right? So look, I'm going to go right down. That's the first thing I do. This is the absolute first thing I do. That's the first thing, right? I will go down on my, whatever. I will go down on the y-axis to -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I will put a dot. And then, what can I do from that dot? Yes, Anna.
You can do the slope
The rise over run, right? My slope is 1/2, which is rise 1, run 2. So look, I could rise 1, boom, and then run 2. 1, 2. And there's my other point, and I now can draw my line. Look how fast I just graphed that. Well, I mean, I didn't, that wasn't so fast. But look, let's do another one. Y, running out of space here. It's okay, we'll do it here. Y is equal to, I'm going to do a negative 2/5 x minus 1. All right, somebody help me. What would I do? Somebody different. Somebody's. Michael's got his pencil up. So what is this? What is my y? The first thing I do is my y-intercept, which is what? -1. So I go to 0 and I go down to -1. Now, yeah, I go down to -1. I put a dot, right? Now what do I do?
Now you find
So
the
it's either this or this. I already did this one. Now I got to do this one. What is this? Slope,
yeah.
right? That's your m, your slope, and it's rise over run. The only trouble is, what's the problem? There's a negative sign in there.
Does that mean you would go down?
Yeah. How would if I said rise? If I'm right here and I say rise -2, would you go up? No, you go down. A negative rise, which means you go down. So from this point, I am going to fall 2 and run 5. Do you agree with me? When it's negative, the rise becomes a fall. But the run always runs to the right. That's really important. That's what a lot of people do. That's a mistake. Is they'll fall 2 and then they'll run to the left. No, you always got to run that way, from left to right. Okay. So you fall 2. What was it? And 5th, and then you run 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you put your dot, and then draw your line. Really, really quick and easy. Right? So it's a good thing for this to be a fraction. Does that make sense? Your slope to be a fraction. It's a really good thing. What if I gave you this, though? What if I give you, I'll just do a different color so that it doesn't. What can I use? Blue. What if I gave you y is equal to 3x minus 4? Somebody help me. Ben.
So you would do 4 since there's minus, it would
Yeah.
be -4.
Okay, 1,
so you
2,
bring it down 4.
right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 3x.
Well, there's no rise over run. Oh, no!
It's actually a fraction. It's 3/1.
Oh! Excellent. Right? You just make that fraction. You want your slope to be a fraction. Right? You want it to be a fraction. So you're going to rise 3 and run 1, right?
Yeah.
So from this blue dot, I'm going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and run 1. And I put a dot, and I draw my line. All right? So tomorrow, we are going to do whiteboards. You guys are all going to have your own whiteboards. And I'm going to be throwing a lot of equations at you. And you're going to have 15 seconds maximum to graph them. Okay? And it's really fun. And so does that make sense so far? So the homework tonight that I have for you is practicing this. And no. So the first 4 are going to be just telling me what is the slope. And notice on the number 4, I didn't put dots. So that means you have to start looking for where does it cross. Does that make sense? Where it crosses at the corners. And then where it crosses again, and so forth. So that's your homework. And it's 2 sides of the page, because the back side is going to be all graphing and slope intercept. Okay? And now, if you guys are ever sick or don't come to class for any reason, if you have a doctor's appointment or anything else like that, it's black again. I hope it's still working. It's still working. Ah, yeah, it's still working. Cool. If you ever are not here for any reason, there's almost always a lecture. And I expect you guys to go watch the lecture. Take notes, right? Whenever you watch a lecture, take notes. If you missed it in class, watch it at home, take notes at home. Make sure your notebook is with you. If you forget your notebook, take it on a piece of paper, paste it into your notebook, right? Things like that. Really? I think that's it. Okay, you guys can go. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.